Hi and welcome to the weekly predictions based on astrology for the week of July 20th, 2020. First, a quick recap of the previous week's predictions. In terms of the stock market, my predictions were for the market to go up every day of the week. And what we had is Monday was a mixed results day with Nasdaq going down and Dow Jones did go up. Tuesday and Wednesday did go up as predicted. Thursday was a down day. And Friday, again, we had mixed results with Nasdaq up and Dow Jones down. In terms of general background predictions that I've made already for some months, and that is going to be with us through 2020 and start around early of 2019, we have these major slow transits. In particular, Pluto conjunct Saturn in Capricorn, and now we also have Jupiter joining them in the same place, where basically we would expect increased seismic activity, like volcanic eruptions, large earthquakes, as well as high probability of various disasters, like also any pandemics, plagues, and major geopolitical changes and shakeups at the sort of the top leadership of either governments or corporations, and change in the leadership where leaders are ousted or they're perhaps just die because they're old. Again, they've been in power for so long and now they die. So what we had for last week, we did have a few major earthquakes. In particular, like a 7.0 in Papua New Guinea, and a couple, I guess worth mentioning, 5.1 and 5.9 in Chile, and 6.1 in Tonga. And as I said before, I think right now it's not the strongest time for this, or the time right now is not the most conducive for these earthquakes to be the strongest, but we will have additional times, especially towards the end of the year, where this may pick back up. And let's see, in terms of leadership, either leaders are either stepping away or being replaced. I haven't necessarily seen that. Of course, we have ongoing geopolitical tensions, in particular anything surrounded like China, and then US, Hong Kong, Iran, and of course there are a lot of tensions in the world, and ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. At the same time, also, as I said, now that we have Pluto sort of in the mix, and Pluto is fairly closely now conjunct with Jupiter. So I was going to say we have Jupiter in the mix with Pluto and Saturn, and currently we have Jupiter and Pluto staying fairly close together, and they have been close June, July, and this will kind of now slowly separate, but we'll come back to be more precise in November of this year. And this kind of a conjunction would correspond to issues that have to do with either spying or hacking or secrets, anything that's been buried, either literally maybe a mine or buried waste of some sort, and anything to do with like illegal activities, crime, and of course all these Jupiterian activities which have to do with like judges and legal issues, immigration, international connections, long distance transportation, colleges, professors, etc. So we would have increase of activities that combine those two and basically lead to major transformations, something that's been unearthed, that's been hidden for a long time. Again, be it some sort of a scandal, corruption, or illegal activities, including financial illegal activities that have been hidden or somehow not, I guess, in public consciousness, may now come up because, again, of either literally being excavated, or because, again, Jupiter also makes everything kind of balloon beyond in proportion, and where things literally just come out of the ground or the balloon, or legal measures are applied to basically put them or to apply, I guess, legal measures to them. Or again, this may have to do with also, like I said, international relations, so maybe international relations change, or the way things are transported, or how people travel across borders changes, the legal status changes, and this results in transformation of such activities. So maybe, stop some sort of a gang, is found that's maybe traffic people across borders or something like that. So basically, we would expect increase in such manifestations of these types of activities throughout this whole year, and the peak we had from June 15th through July 10th, but we will continue experiencing these activities, but we will have yet another uptick of those around November 4th through the 20th of this year. And for this week, and including into the 20th of July, which is when I'm recording this, we did have several news kind of fit with that. One, we had continuing sort of news out of Iran, where there's another, I guess, transformer or something blew up in their power plant. And we also had news about an attack on a judge's family, the judge presiding over some sort of a Deutsche Bank case related to Jeffrey Epstein. And let's see, and we also had news about some excavation, I guess, happening related to the Silk Road, I guess, construction beginning, and they unearthed some 2,000-year-old burial or something like that. And so, thing to note is that we may hear more about such events. Again, whether there's something that's corrupt or something that's been buried, again, could be something exciting as an archaeological find. And those may continue occurring with issues picking up in November. And with Jupiter being involved, the things or places or entities that we may expect may also be of Jupiterian nature. So it could be something to do with like long distance transportation hubs, colleges, courthouses, also places of worship. Like we had this news about the church in Nantes, France, being burned, or I guess being set on fire. So, like I said, places of worship, like official places of worship, not just some, local gatherings, and also like even embassies, and also individuals could be, again, somebody who's like a cleric, a diplomat, judge, professor. All of those individuals may experience either being involved in some sort of a corrupt case, or perhaps being subject to, attacks and violence. And I did also make specific predictions for that for even for last week. This is on the going influence, but also I made predictions for last week for July 13th through 15th, that there would be increased news about powerful leaders basically being either exposed or somehow involved in the manipulative activities, illegal activities, spying, hacking, etc. All of these Plutonian type of activities. And we did have also, of course, this notable attack on Twitter, where about 130 of like high-profile accounts were hacked. And again, they're specifically exposing, or not exposing, but they're, of course, maybe hackers had stolen some of the information, but certainly it was a notable event, and it did combine, again, powerful individuals, known individuals, and this whole like hacking, secretive kind of manipulative activities. And again, this was specific for last week, and we did have that manifestation, but as a background influence, we will have this continuing ongoing probability of either attacks or secrets exposed, or manipulative activities, or spying, hacking, or some dirty, activities or dirty secrets exposed, and specifically related to all these Jupiterian areas, such as, again, anything to do with law, or places of higher education, or long-distance transportation, or any sort of international relations. It could be, maybe a nuclear power plant, all of these things that have to do, again, with power. They may potentially suffer various, disasters or have some problems. And again, we had this power plant event out of Iran this week, but again, things will most likely continue through the end of this year and will pick back up in November. We also had last week a massive outage in hitting Cloudflare, the denial of service, company, or the company that offers protection from denial of service. And of course, they have suffered that attack themselves. And again, this may not necessarily be a power plant, but it's definitely involving sort of a powerful attack. And I would say it fits with these kind of manipulative spying, hacking kind of activities, which we will see an increase in those, not just last week, but also into the end of the year. Also, the news that came up last week, even though the incident actually occurred 2 years prior, that apparently there was a situation where a British nuclear submarine came really close to a ferry, like 100 meters away, and potentially could have resulted in an accident. Luckily, it was averted. But again, we have this nuclear power and also traveling, it's a long distance, traveling sort of an object. So we have this another manifestation of the Jupiter-Pluto transit. And I looked back at the date of that, when that accident actually happened. At that time, there was only some stressful aspects to Mars, both in helio and geo charts, but actually Pluto was not involved. So I would say maybe there was a tense time, but there was actually, at least according to astrology, it was not necessarily involving risk of radiation being released or leaked. And also last week we had another sort of this piece of news related to like all the spying, hacking type of theme. In the University of Mississippi State University, they carried out a U.S. Army funded project where they tracked cell phone data against GPS data for various like Russian military sites and government buildings. And again, I'm sure this was a long-term project that occurred over some months, but the news came out again specifically during this time when the aspects kind of transits becoming a little bit more precise. So again, this is the time where if there were secrets that were ongoing or some secretive activities that were in place or something was buried, literally bodies were buried, or some financial manipulations or things were trying to be buried. Now, and by now I mean this week, the following week, and through the end of the year, especially in November, there might be another uptick where things that, somebody's trying to keep secret, or if they're attackers, hackers, etc., trying to manipulate or do something illegally, this is the time when they may succeed, or these secrets may no longer be, able to be kept, out of the public's eye. Let's see, and another interesting, let's see, did I cover this? So yeah, and just quick note, I have this also a long-standing prediction that the news about the coronavirus and or news out of China related to maybe some other kind of pandemics or outbreaks of infectious diseases or healthcare, perhaps healthcare reform, or changes in how maybe labs are operating that are involved in biomedical research, that we will have ongoing sort of news throughout the end of this year, with right now being like a second wave or second, focus period where these news may be more, type of news may be more in a public eye, and the third final period coming at the end of October through about November 20th. And indeed, even maybe it's not out of China, but we did have this, news, continuing out of Mongolia about potential bubonic plague outbreak there, where like 17 out of 21 provinces reporting, cases. And of course, China and Mongolia share the border. So, even though it's not quite in China, it's possible that there may be something happening in that area, and it just kind of hasn't gotten up to speed yet, or maybe it's not being necessarily reported in the news. I don't want to speculate, but I'm just saying this is that area of the world. And according to China's, transits to China's chart, we will have more events related to, again, healthcare, biomedical research, increase in like infectious diseases, and also anything to do with like Navy, pollution, chemicals, oil and gas, intensifying both around this time of the year, July, and also then coming back up late October through November. And of course, we did have these ongoing conflicts, I guess, or tensions between China and say like Japan and US about various like presence of ships in the area. I believe last week or even this week maybe it was already that Japan had basically had filed some complaints about some China ship being in the area of some not disputed, but some islands that China doesn't recognize as islands. So there will be more along those lines as well in China, in addition to the potential increase, in either COVID cases or major sort of developments related to any other kind of infectious disease as well. So let's see. So moving on to this week, as I mentioned, there's ongoing increased probability of various major either earthquakes or perhaps old buildings collapses, which I forgot, I guess, last week there was news out of Mumbai that I guess a couple of buildings collapsed there as well. So we will have increased probability this week, especially July 20th through 21st. But I would say towards the end of the year, this energy will pick up even more. Then we have also energy that's building up around the end of July, but will especially be strongly felt in August, where there may be need for, or not need to necessarily, but there will be increased news about like various governmental regulations, controls, embargoes, taxes, or need to, I guess, address like some shortages or delays, or reorganizing some sort of structures, either governmental structures or at the level of corporate leadership, and or there may be some little shakeups where again we have either seismic activity or just some sort of disasters that involve infrastructure, maybe like a bridge collapse, something that basically has been neglected and it's been shaken up, and now it needs to be addressed ASAP, and it will require kind of maybe changes in leadership, or new like large-scale construction project needs to be implemented so that the issue is repaired basically somehow. And this may be accompanied by increased wave of anti-governmental protests, violence, shootings, fires, explosions, as well as increased news about corruption, scandals, etc. So basically we already are experiencing this, but again in upcoming weeks, especially in August, and for US especially August 13th through 21st, and then China August 9th through 17th, this may increase even further. And then China, again, the focus may be on more like healthcare, Navy, pharmaceuticals, oil, pollution, recycling, and the US, the focus may be more on communication and transportation businesses. Let's see. Then, as I mentioned, we will continue experiencing increased news about issues related to like secrets, anything that's like being hidden or literally currently is underground, and these things may be getting sort of out of control, or certain legal measures will be applied to those to drag them into the sort of light and take care of them, or vice versa. Entities or places that have to do with like Jupiter, again, it could be like a courthouse, for example, may have a higher probability of being under attack or being hacked, or basically experiencing some sort of a pressure or some negative situations. And let's see, then for oil prices specifically, of course, and anything else that has to do with anything else that has to do with Neptune, so oil, gas, but also any sort of chemicals or pharmaceuticals, there may be increased news coming up. Not this week, but at the end, I guess, or maybe the end of this week, July 26th through 28th, so I guess Sunday through like Tuesday of next week. And there specifically, the concerns may be about the prices or value or earnings and concerns that maybe something is overvalued or undervalued. Maybe the price of oil is deemed to be too high, or price of some pharmaceutical, the medicine deemed to be either too high or too low, and there may need to be like a quick adjustment. Maybe some situation involving the OPEC members, that there will be some sort of a disagreement about the value or how to proceed, but not just a disagreement, but it will specifically address either earnings from oil or price of oil. And this may trigger a fairly large market drop on the 27th of July, which is Monday of the following week. And then further, later this year, and again starting around November, things will start again being kind of more tense. I guess not that this year wasn't tense enough, but this will be kind of the next wave of sort of tensions surrounding specifically oil prices or oil, gas, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, and I would say November 2020 through around February of 2021, especially end of January of 2021, may see it again, big sort of developments related to oil, gas, chemicals, etc. And there may be some surprising activities right around the end of January that are related also to earnings or banks or currencies, as well as airline companies, telecommunications and IT companies, where there may be either sudden bankruptcies or some problems with digital currencies. So perhaps it's related, where maybe some problems with airlines because of this COVID thing, and at the same time, of course, the oil price drops, and or there may be some issues with payments. But basically, chances are there will be increased market volatility at that time, and it may be related or affecting oil prices at the same time. And again, starting November of this year into February of next year, and especially I'd say end of January, mid to end of January, especially if I had to pick out a couple days, is January 18th to 19th is where there may be a spike on such problems related, again, concerns about oil and gas prices, as well as some financial issues. And market may go down at that time, and then even further after that in April of 2021, especially April 8th through 11th, there yet may be new tensions related to fighting over oil or oil prices. And again, those may be accompanied by a large market drop. So moving on to individual days of this week, I made a prediction for Monday, Tuesday to be down days, and Wednesday to be maybe a slight probability of market going up, and Thursday, Friday, yet again down days. And I do expect a really large drop coming up the following Monday, this 27th. So I'm recording this at the end of the day on the 20th. So I did see the market actually went up overall. By market, I mean Nasdaq went up nicely. Dow Jones kind of climbed like 0.03%. So Dow Jones was, mostly up, mostly down throughout the day, but I guess it ended up at the end. But I did still make a prediction, and I think there's still maybe a very large drop. If it didn't occur already on the 20th, it may still occur on the 21st, on Tuesday. That is because there may be some stressful news, especially out of the US, either about leadership or prominent persons, or there may be heightened conflicts with international partners, and this may be accompanied by a large drop. Again, if not on Monday, then it's still, I would say, on Tuesday, there's a good chance of that happening. And other sort of news that I expected for Monday is increased news about leaders. And again, stressful news, maybe like a leader is ousted, organization announces a restructuring, cuts losses, and organizations related to either finance, like a bank, or an entity that deals with either growing, selling, processing food. Other issues that may come up again Monday, maybe into Tuesday, would be like homeland security, protection of families, again food supplies, selling food, growing food. I don't know that I necessarily saw any specific news about that on Monday, but they may still occur on Tuesday. For China, July 20th through 25th, and especially 21st or 23rd, we'll see some important transits and stressful transits to their chart, which may be accompanied by stressful news about various negotiations, agreements, sales, communication, transportation, as well as areas related to, I guess, Neptune yet again, oil, gas, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, healthcare, beverages, navy, pollution, lies, deception, and religion, musicals, I guess, movies. And there, basically, there may be some conflicts with international partners where China will perceive itself as being sort of on the receiving end of some sort of attack, or they feel as they're being pushed into some sort of an agreement that maybe is not beneficial to them, that they would have to sign it under pressure or under threat, or it involves taking some sort of financial risks. So there may be these kind of basically conflicts. At the same time, there's an increased probability for China of having like either maritime accident or standoff involving navy or bodies of water, or chemical spills, spike in infectious diseases, gas explosion, etc. As I mentioned, I did see something in the news about conflict, or Japan, I guess, complaining about China having a ship around some islands that Japan thinks are islands, but China says are just some rocks. And Japan says they didn't give permission for that, basically. So this doesn't seem like a horribly, violent necessarily situation. But like I said, until July 25th, there's still a heightened probability of something like that turning violent, or there being a maritime accident or some sort of a standoff that involves a little bit more of a violence, I guess. Or it could be, like I said, gas explosion or some sort of an accident, like that, oil rig and fire or something like that. And that's again for China. And then also for China, around July 21st through 24th, there may be increased concerns about either various infectious diseases or pollution or poisoning. So maybe it's something related to, say, COVID-19 or this bubonic plague news out of Mongolia, or even the chemical spill, or something to do with recycling, where something is either there's a conflict around it, or there's a accident, fire, etc. And the problem may be that there's going to be an expectation of a quick resolution or push for the issue to be resolved quickly. However, something may be like elusive, and it's not going to be possible to quickly take care of it. Like, say there's a spill and there's a need to quickly address it, but things just spread sort of out of control, maybe a situation like that. And that could be because something literally just spills all over and you can't really find it. Where is it? And so you can't quickly clean it up. Or it could be because the issue or the source of the issue is not clearly defined, and it's hidden, or it's just in too many places, and therefore the solution cannot be applied in a timely manner. So let's see, then moving on to the end of the week, July 24th through 28th may see increased concerns about hot and windy weather and potentially fires that are destroying crops, or even maybe increased negotiations or fires or accidents, especially involving either businesses or locations that somehow are related to like banking, farming, or grocery stores, that anything is like supposed to be a secure place that you have stored maybe money, or you store food there, and it's supposed to be safe and secure, but somehow either hot wind or some sort of attacks, or like I said, hot weather, windy weather may potentially cause problems with that. And there may also be increased news about various transportation accidents, especially anything that like flies or cars, so short distance trips, and or again fires or accidents may involve once again either banks or institutions that relate to finance somehow, or farmlands, grocery stores, or some sort of a food processing facility. So it could be either a literal accident involving like fire, wind, explosion, or it could be heated negotiations related to these industries where things are not, the negotiation is not quite going well, or could be literally shootings, attacks, fighting, and there may also be increased probability of accidents related to like fighting, racing, and sports, where perhaps like a prominent athlete can be in the news due to like a car accident or verbal attacks. Maybe they're engaged in some really nasty verbal, exchange with somebody. And then global influence for 26th of July through 29th is that there may be, again, like I mentioned, increased concerns about the value of oil, gas, chemicals, or some pharmaceutical, or maybe some news about like beverage companies, especially I think and companies that produce like alcoholic beverages. So there may be some news about either losses for those companies or concerns about the price of something being too high or too low, or a dramatic change in price. I would guess it would be a drop. And this may also be accompanied by increased news about either maritime accidents or water pollution, or some poisons spreading, some or mental health issues. And at the same time, there may be some problems. Maybe there's a negotiation, maybe an acquisition or sale, again, of say sale of oil or something like that. This may either not go through, or there may be disagreement about prices, or blocked contract or blocked way of transporting it, and the price may either go up through the roof, like some medicine price may skyrocket or may drop dramatically. There may also be increased news about like prominent religious figures or actors, so again, movie, music, stars, etc. And that could be related to them either mishandling money or paying for something that's like secretive or illegal, or overspending or misusing their donations or something like that. And let's see, and this may be also related to concerns, I guess, of course, about the COVID-19, that perhaps there's some financial losses related to that. And as I said before, the 27th of July, which is the next Monday, may see a significant drop in the markets. And at the same time, both China and US, that's kind of moving into next week, 27th through 28th, maybe 30th of July, we'll see some increased news out of both US and China. And again, they may be related to oil, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, Navy, as well as they could be related to some stressful news. Maybe not stressful news, but out of China, they at the same time, they may also make an announcement that may affect like large groups of people, and that may have to do with something addressing some sort of financial needs, either announcing new goals on how to improve profits, or announcing some changes in some financial strategy that is risky. So either maybe reducing risks, financial risks in some way, or it could be announcing a new financial strategy that is going to be deemed rather risky. And let's see, and moving on to the 2 weeks from now, and that's something that I just saw kind of looking at transits, upcoming transits, that August 3rd, which will be 2 Mondays from now, is actually also looking like a very strong sort of a important day where we may expect increased market volatility and the large market move possibly up. And again, up prediction is based on there may be some sort of intervention, and especially out of US, that has to do with like banks, rates, and debt, loan, and taxes. And so perhaps whatever that decision may be may potentially move the markets. And at this point, again, my prediction is that it most likely will be up. But again, not because things look necessarily so positive, but just because this may be a response to some sort of action by US government related to finance, loans, rates, etc. And also the events on the 3rd of August may be related to some preceding developments on the weekend of August 1st and 2nd, where there may be some sort of either new law implemented or international agreement may be signed and take effect. And so on the 3rd, there may be a really strong market move where there may be a lot of volatility even throughout the day. Maybe market first skyrockets, and then there will be a lot of sell-off by the end of the day. So either way, it will be quite an important day. So that wraps it up for me. I hope you're enjoying your July. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and that you're enjoying these videos, and come back and watch them some more next week. You can also read these blog posts the day before. I post them on Sundays on my blog at tolstunka.com. And until then, I'll see you guys next week. Okay, bye.